Hello, this is Cherie here from Thimble Book Embroidery, bringing you a somewhat impromptu video. I get so many questions with people asking me what type of sewing machine they should purchase as their first sewing machine. My answer is very multifaceted because there are so many things to consider before you purchase a machine. The machine is not only a financial investment, but it is also a investment that is long term. It's something that you're going to be keeping for many, many years. So you really want to make sure you get the right machine for the job, or else it's just going to sit in your closet and collect dust. So without further ado, let's get started. The first thing that I do when I'm looking for a brand new sewing machine is I look for repair shops in my local area. So I'm going to type sewing machine repair, and let's just go with the first place that pops up, Richmond. So let's go to the sewing machine repair shop with the highest rating. And let's see what types of machines they actually repair. So here we have Baby Lock, Brother, Janome, Kenmore, Five, Viking, and Singer. So we will want to keep those brands in mind when we actually do buy the machine, because the last thing that we want to do is purchase a machine and then have nowhere in our local area where we can actually get it serviced when it comes time to have the machine serviced. The next thing that we want to consider when we're purchasing the machine is what is the actual purpose of the machine. So as I stated before, you want to know why you want to sew. So let's say you want to make clothes. Then you're going to look for a machine that's good for making clothes. Let's say you want to make bags and purses. Then you want to get a machine that is for making bags and purses. The last thing you want to do is buy a home sewing machine and try to use it for making purses. Make your first 2 or 3 bags and then realize that your machine's timing is off and that it needs to go to the repair shop. So when someone is looking for a machine for making bags, purses, and other leather goods, they usually go to Walmart. As a newbie, go to Walmart, say sewing machine. And the first machines that come up here are heavy duty machines. They say, oh wow, Walmart has some heavy duty machines. These are going to be great for my bag making and my leather working. But do they actually have machines here that are for bag making and leather making? Let's see. And then they will go to the cheapest machine that they can see and then try to make a purchase. But we're going to talk about why this machine actually would not be good for doing bag making and leather making of goods on a regular basis. Yes, it has a metal frame. It has a stainless steel bed plate. Great. That makes the machine just a little bit heavier. But, let's get around to the but. The internal workings of the machine. So let's type in this model number, single 4423, and then we're going to type in motor. And we're going to go to sewing machine parts. Don't you just love pop-ups, guys? And I'm quickly scrolling through because I want to see if I can see a motor. And I don't. Well, let me see if I can see parts. The pulley, that's plastic. Don't really have too many parts here. But I can tell you that a lot of the internal parts and gears in here are plastic. Um, and that would not make the machine ideal long term for sewing heavier goods. And the motor itself is a general home sewing machine motor. It's not a heavy motor for actually sewing through thick materials, because when you're sewing through thicker materials, you of course need a bigger motor. So you're going to burn up this machine really quickly. It will work for a while for sewing those sort of things, but you're going to burn the motor up very quickly doing something like that. And then also, it's just, you're going to knock the timing off as well. It's because it's just not really made for that purpose, even though it's marketed that way. This machine is actually fairly good for sewing leather. Why? Because it has 5 feed dogs. I know that. It has 5 feed dogs, and the feed dogs help the fabric to feed through the machine more easily. And it does have a really good motor, even though it still is a home sewing machine motor. And your timing is not going to get knocked off as easily with this. But, like I said before, this machine is not for sewing leather goods and heavier materials on every single day basis. It's more so a home sewing machine for the person who occasionally does some upholstery on, let's say, a couch in the living room or something like that. It's not necessarily for doing that on a daily. But this machine is. This is a walking foot machine, walking foot barracuda sewing machine. It's what somebody that works on boats would have aboard their boat for stitching sails and things like that. This is what you would want if you're going to be, say, doing upholstery on a daily basis, or working on making bags on the regular. This is what you would want, because you don't need, this machine comes with how many stitches? You don't need 18 stitches for stitching on upholstery. The most you're going to do is do a straight stitch. 90% of the time you're going to be doing a straight stitch on upholstery work or bag making. You're not going to need the other 18 stitches. And that's one way how you can tell that the machine is really not made for leather or whatever, even though it says heavy duty on the label. And the other thing that we just did was we went and we looked at parts, which wasn't successful in our parts search. But sometimes it will show you the gears, and the gears can be plastic, and then you know for a fact that that machine is not intended for actually sewing heavier material. Let's say you are into making clothes. There's a few things that you want to consider when you're making clothes. Am I going to be making a lot of materials using knit fabrics, or am I going to be making a lot of clothes that are just standard, let's say linen or cotton? Then the HT3000 would be ideal. Then this machine would be ideal for you. Let's say you want to make jeans every now and again. Then this will work for that, because you can sew the heavier materials with ease. Plus you can also work with the lighter materials, and it has some stitches here that you might want to use for doing knits on occasion. Let's see some other machines here. I want to look at Brother. This machine is really popular as a beginner machine for making garments. It's really nice. It didn't appeal to me because of this throat space here. I like to have more throat space when I sew. But from what I hear, this is a really good machine. It's just a basic sewing machine, and it has multiple buttonholes. Or something else that you want to consider. Like if you're making garments, this standard plain old one-step buttonhole is going to get old after a while, and you're going to want to use some different types of buttonholes, like maybe a keyhole or something like that. So this is really good for that purpose. I hope this video has been helpful. Let's say you're a quilter. As a quilter, you're going to want to look for more throat space. So this machine right here has a whole lot more throat space, and it's excellent. And it has a knee lift here. This little holds a knee lift, so it'll be excellent for that. Let's say you don't have $799 to buy a sewing machine. Then, let me close out some of these windows. Then you'll want to start looking for used machines, and I would do my own separate video on how to shop for used machines, but I'm just going to do a basic search. Okay, so here's that same machine for $539 on eBay. This is really good. This is the Juki 2000, but you excellent condition. $500. That's not bad. Well, let's say you don't have that. You don't have that much money. Let's look at this. This is still the HD 3000, which, as you can tell, is a machine that I really like. Because it's so versatile. You could do some quilting with this. Only thing you want to make sure of is that it has a feed dog drop, which it does. You want to drop the feed dog so that you can do some free motion quilting, and you want to see that the machine has a quilting foot, or that you can purchase a quilting foot to go with the machine for some for doing some free motion quilting. Well, that's all I have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.